Baalbeck, now a small town, but anciently a splendid temple city, located in Lebanon, between the Lebanon and Anti-Lebanon mountains. The broad valley between the two mountain ranges is called El-Bika, or lowland, and was formerly known as Gwali Syria, or Hello Syria. The city is 3850 feet or 1175 meters above sea level and lies between the Litani and Orontes rivers in a fertile region on the ancient caravan routes to Damascus and to Tyre. History of Baalbeck. The city is named Baalbeck in Assyrian and Egyptian inscriptions, doubtless because of the worship there of a god who was called Baal and was later identified with Jupiter. The Greeks knew the city as Heliopolis, and the Emperor Augustus made it a Roman colony with the name Colonia Julia Augusta Felix Heliopolitana. Baalbeck attained its greatest splendor in the Roman period and was a renowned center of the worship not only of Jupiter Heliopolitanos but also of Bacchus and Venus. In the early part of the 4th century, according to the church historians, the Emperor Constantine surpassed the licentious worship which had prevailed in Heliopolis and erected there a large Christian church of a great magnificence. In AD 635, the city was taken by the Arabs under Abu Ubaidah, relatively unprotected hitherto because its fame was only that of a cult center. The city was now strongly fortified by the Arabs, and the temple district and Acropolis were transformed into a citadel. As an important fortress, Baalbeck had a varied history during the Middle Ages. Ali, rival for the Khalifa, fought there in AD 659. Al-Walid died 715, is said to have taken the dome of a brace from Baalbeck church to be set up in the dome of the rock at Jerusalem. Marwan II died 750, destroyed the wall, and Togotaken of Damascus brought Baalbeck under the control of that city in 1110. In 1175, it was taken by Saladin. In 1260, it was destroyed by the Mongols, Hulagu, and in the later part of the 13th century, it was rebuilt by the Sultan Kalawan. It was sacked by Tamerlane in 1400, partially destroyed by Jizar of Acre in 18th century, and damaged from time to time by several earthquakes. Under the Turkish, Baalbeck had sunk by the 19th century to a small and insignificant town. This here is an Arabic tower of 3 levels. We are turning into a museum, but the government funding is not sufficient. بعد مسكرة؟
نعم ما في إمكانيات هلا عند الدولة تدخل وتخلصوا.
It was built for heathenism. The pagans used to worship their god here, as people do now in Mecca and Jerusalem. Once they finished worshipping Jupiter in this temple, which is the biggest temple built for the god of goddess, they used to move on to Bacchus Temple to make love and drink wine, Bacchus being the god of love and wine. Look at these symbols on the gate. There are 99 stairs on the right and 99 stairs on the left. One priest would go up from the right and another from the left and meet at the top to light the flames. There were guards all around the temple. Look at these symbols here. We see an egg. The egg is a symbol of life. Next to it an arrow, symbol of death. Life and death, life and death. This arrow here represents the bows they used. And this is a pan, half human and half animal, symbolizing a human and animal sacrifices. These girls we see here are the grape pickers, with the grape leaf, and grape is the symbol of wine. The storage space was under the altar. We see the grape leaf in the spring and how it is dying in the fall. And the chain here is a symbol of power. The robe is a symbol of friendship. The opium, the symbol of pleasure. And the wheat sheaf, the symbol of fertility. The eagle here representing Rome is holding a key with his claws, the key of the east, and a serpent in his beak, representing the wisdom and the medicine. The other figure is of the angel Mercury, carrying a cedar branch. There are 3 cedar cones on the top, 3 pomegranates, 3 apples. The cedar is the symbol of the roofs of these temples, while the pomegranates and the apple are gift to the god Bacchus. Come inside and see how the dancer used to dance and offer drinks to the visitors. Inside the temple, the floor of course used to be covered with mosaics. We have a storage room for the wine under the stairs and under the altar. There are also these dancers. We will see them more clearly. All our dancers, if we come a little bit forward, we see them. Of course, she's wearing a light dress and carrying a small jar. Of course, she's naked. The dancer would go downstairs from the door, bring the drinks from the barrels and go out dancing and welcoming the visitors of Bacchus. Of course, the god of wine. We see the flute player. The flute player. And we see the other picture is for a dancer, another dancer, as we see. Those columns with ridges are Greek. The Greeks were enslaved by the Romans, and these columns are a tribute to their efforts in building the temple. We see these stairs over there. Half is broken and the rest is still fine at the Roman time. If you come forward, you'll see it more clearly. We closed it because we were afraid of people when they go up, they might fall or hurt themselves. After the Roman era, when this temple was for drinking and joy, the Byzantine came and transformed this temple into a church, and the symbol of the Byzantine church is this Byzantine cross. They disfigured the dancers and destroyed the statues because they had a church here and paganism was forbidden. During World War I in 1914, Germany and Turkey became allies and put those two plaques here. The one on the left is German and the one on the right is Turkish. They also took all these statues from the temples. Under each ark there used to be a statue, and we can see that something was pulled out. Where are the statues now? They are in the Museum of Germany and Turkey, and this is a shame. We didn't have government at that time to have those statues back. Now we go outside to see the external artwork and a carving of a Cleopatra which fell down from the roof. We see the arts and the work on this ceiling are dedicated to various gods and goddesses. Each figure is symbol of something, because everything that existed on the face of the earth was considered to have God and was holy and worshipped. We find the god of earth, the god of hunting, the god of water, the god of seas, the god of harvest, and everything existing they worshipped and made symbol for him in this temple all around Bacchus Temple. We see those columns in the big temple of Jupiter, who was the god of goddess. The number of columns was 54 all around, 17 on each side, 10 in the front and 10 in the back of the temple. Each column was 22 meters high, with a lion head on the top, like those on the ground. The roof was made with a cedar wood and colored glass. This system used to give it a heat during winter and coolness during summer. Pumping water from the high spring in the mountains on the glasses give an air condition like effect with the water coming out of the lion's head. All around Bacchus Temple, where we are now, there are 48 columns. Each one is 19 meters high. The latest that earthquake happened in 1759. In 1759, an earthquake happened. When it happened, this piece of roof fell on the ground. We can see the art and work. Bring the camera in to show how amazing this. We cannot make such a work these days. Look how they carved this grove, and this small piece did not break, which is astonishing. Of course, we see the goddess faces, as we see, are all erased. This is due to the Byzantine era, when this temple was turned into a church and the goddess faces was damaged. This figure here is a goddess of harvest with the wheat plant on her shoulder, and other one is Mars, the god of war. Mars, the god of war. This is Mark Antonio, who was loved by Cleopatra, and this Mark Antonio in front of us. We see here also Cleopatra, who was loved by Mark Antonio. She raised a big snake, which is the symbol of the Sudan. After Mark Antonio defeat she committed suicide by letting the snake bite her. These waves you see here are the symbol of the Nile River. We see the same carving here. How did they carve and they didn't break? Which is amazing. Yes. When this roof broke down in 1759, those two columns fell. We see when this yes, we can guess how strong the earthquake was as it made the edge of the roof fall on Jupiter Temple. In 1964, in 1965, we put these two columns back in their places, but we didn't have enough fund to put the roof edge back also. Now, if you like to turn around the temple, we see what happened in this country during the Arab era. I'll show you where the lion's head is on the top of the 6 columns. On the top of the first column, there is a statue of a kneeling sheep. Above it, you see a hole. The first one. On the top of that, above it, you see a hole. That's the lion's mouth. There used to be 54 columns with 54 lions' head. Please take a shot to these blocks of rocks. These used to be a foundation of foundations, and they each weigh around 850 tons. We can see the gaps between each 2 blocks where the water from the lion's head used to go into the underground and outside the temple. The roof you see here were all on the ground. We built them in 1959. You can compare the ceiling white and clean color here, while the other one, which is black and carbonated. We clean this with sand and air and water. Of course, we did it in 1959, while the other side stands still from the Roman time. Now, after the Byzantine, we had the Arab era. The Arabs invaded this country and built a mosque here. We see where the Shaykh used to pray. It's over there under the ark. You see inside. So they start destroying these temples to build the mosque and make this defensive wall. You notice how different their construction is from the Romans, where not a single hair can go between the rocks. Under every arc of this defensive wall, we see a slit opened to the outside, allowing them to throw arrows and defend themselves. We see the columns that we found in 1966-67. All of them had fallen and were buried under the ground under 2 meters of soil. The farmer who was exploiting this land found a capital and informed the government about his discovery. A group of workers was sent here to start the excavation and rebuild it the way it was. There you see the place from where they used to bring the rocks to build the temples. It is 2 kilometers away. There is still a huge monolith called Hajar al-Hubla. It weighed 1,250 tons, the biggest rock in the world. They spent 250 years building these temples. I couldn't finish some of the work. We see this wall, this part is clean and smooth, while the bottom is still rough. The work was started and not finished. We observe the same here. This part is completed and this one still waiting. Notice here now how some columns have fallen on the right and some others on the left. We observe a particular construction style where there is a hole inside the column with a notch. The base of the column has the same hole and the same notch. A piece of a bronze 30 centimeter big would fit half in the base and half on the column to hold them together. This column lies on Bacchus Temple. It seems broken, but the other half still holds, thanks to the bronze piece. Of course, we see the same artwork in those pieces here in front of us. The same style.